All right, what is up, everyone? Wonder what we're going to talk about today. So NASCAR going to wait until Wednesday to, I guess, drop whatever they're going to. They got something cooking, I would imagine. So I guess we'll start off with that. But before we get to that, Freddie Kraft on Door Bumper Clear says Rockingham is coming back, and he says it's coming back Easter weekend, and he says it's going to be for Xfinity and trucks. So no Cup Series, but that is still good news because at least you get Xfinity and trucks. So that's a good deal right there. So everybody wanting Rockingham to come back, according to Freddie Kraft, it is coming back on Easter weekend. So get your plans ready or whatever you need to do, and get ready to purchase those tickets for that weekend. Let's see what else. The option tire. We haven't really talked about the option tire. I feel like the option tire was a success. Option tire, of course, being the softer tire. So the softer tire, a lot of people want that to be the tire going forward. So that's definitely going to be a conversation to be had. Do we stick with the option tires, or do we just have the softer tire going forward at the short tracks, and maybe at some other tracks as well? That is a good question to ask. Eric Jones re-signs, big time free agent, actually. Sort of flew under the radar all season, but he re-signs with Legacy Motor Club, so he's going to be staying at Legacy Motor Clubs. That was the other big story that broke today. 3-year deal for Eric Jones. So he believes in what they're doing and what they're building over there. So he's going to be in it for the long haul. So hopefully Legacy does get it figured out, and they get him going here, because I think he's a really good driver. So hopefully Legacy gets it figured out, and Eric Jones has a home for the next 3 years, unless somebody buys him out. So it is what it is. And then let's get to the Austin Dillon thing. So after giving it some thought, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like it at all, and you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with it. But at the end of the day, after thinking about it, there have been a ton of other drivers that have wrecked for the win since the playoff system has started. None of those drivers got the win taken away. None of those drivers got points taken away. So precedent has been set. Now, like I said, you might not like it, but that is the precedent that NASCAR has set. So for NASCAR to retroactively go back now, just because Austin Dillon did it, would be a really bad look for NASCAR. Not only that, but there are a ton of fans. There's probably more buzz around NASCAR right now. The last time I remember it being this big, my phone blowing up this much, as many people talking about it to me, was when Ross Chastain rode the wall at Martinsville. So it's another big moment for NASCAR, and there's a lot of positive momentum behind it. There's a lot of non-traditional, casual fans, whatever you want to call it, that are super excited and like this for what it is. So there's that aspect to it too. So if NASCAR wants to make a rule about this, if NASCAR doesn't like the way this goes, first off, NASCAR needs to look at itself and say, we did this. All the blame does not need to be on Austin Dillon. Leave the drivers out of it. This is something that NASCAR created with its point system, with the green, white, checkered flag. So if NASCAR wants to change something, they need to change the point system, because all of these people that are complaining about Austin Dillon shouldn't be in the playoffs, it's a waste of a playoff spot, this, that, and the other thing. You weren't complaining about it when Ricky Stenhouse made the playoffs and he wasn't top 16 in points or whatever. There's been other drivers. He's just the one that I remember because he won the Daytona 500 and he wasn't in the top 16 in points. So he took a spot away from somebody in that playoff year. So we've seen that aspect of it too. So him being 26th in points right now and taking a playoff spot away, that's not a big deal to me either. But what he did do, Austin Dillon might have saved NASCAR from itself, because what he did do is what I've been talking about for a long time, and he's exposed this system. He's exposed the system for what it is, and this system is not a meritocracy. This system does not reward merit. It does not reward good driving. It rewards opportunism and drama. If you have the opportunity to take a guy out that's faster than you and win the race, you're rewarded for that, because historically, since this particular playoff system has started, NASCAR has not penalized anybody for wrecking to win. Now, you can do this shades of gray thing. What Austin Dillon did was worse than anybody ever in the history of the world, next to Judas. You can make that argument all you want to, but at the end of the day, what Austin Dillon did was wreck a car to win a race. And that's been done before in this playoff system. So the issue is the playoff system. The issue is the green white checkered, because if you remember, you can call it what you want to. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. might have accidentally gotten to a guy that he wasn't even racing for position. They were not even on the same lap, so they weren't even racing each other. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Preece getting together, that's either Ricky Stenhouse Jr. doing Ricky Stenhouse Jr. things, or that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. not liking RCR and manipulating the race, hoping RCR doesn't get a win, trying to wave his middle finger at him one time, and have the last laugh in that particular battle. So the green white checkered, you can call that into question too, because that is another thing that is not necessarily a meritocracy. Austin Dillon had the race won. Under the old style, it would have ended under yellow, and Austin Dillon would have been the winner. He had the fastest long run car. There's no doubt about that. So at least at the end of that race, so had a 2 second or so lead on everybody. So any way you slice this, you can blame the driver if you want to, but that's misplaced blame. Blame the system if you don't like the way that this ended up, because the system is what creates this. Win and you're in creates opportunism. It is not a meritocracy. It does not reward the best driver. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it's always been. So the people that have defended the point system, if you're mad about it now, maybe now is the time you take a look at that point system, because that is the issue. The green white checkers are the issue, because that essentially is what creates this. How many times have we seen this because of a green white checkered? The guy that's the fastest doesn't win the race because he gets wrecked or moved, bump and run, whatever you want to call it. The fastest guy doesn't win because of a green white checkers. Once again, not a meritocracy. It's there for entertainment. It's there for opportunism. It's there for drama. It's there to get the sport trending. So that's the way I see it. And after thinking about it, that's just the way I see it. Like, this is a NASCAR issue. NASCAR created its own issue. Austin Dillon exposed it. So don't put the hate on Austin Dillon. Don't put the hate on, if you're an Austin Dillon fan, don't put the hate on Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. Put the hate on NASCAR for creating the situation. That's just the way I see it. Poll question is up, and I've probably influenced it, but do you think Austin Dillon should be fined? So let's talk about that too. The options are no fine, fine only, suspension and fine, take away the win, fine and suspension. So there you go. With precedent, with NASCAR's precedent, they've already basically established that they haven't done anything to previous drivers that have done things like this. So why should they do it now? So if NASCAR does anything, I think if NASCAR does anything, the right thing to do, no matter now what NASCAR actually does is another story. But what NASCAR should actually do is, if they don't like the way this ended, either make a rule for next race, make a rule for next season, or make a rule for the playoffs. But you can't penalize Austin Dillon for doing something that A, you wanted to happen because that's how this system is set up. B, other drivers have done very similar things to win races and get into the playoffs. So, I mean, if you set the system up like this, why would you punish a guy for doing exactly what you wanted him to do? I feel like it's a fair question. And like I said earlier, you don't have to like it, but that's actually, if you break it down, that's just literally the way it is. NASCAR got exposed by Austin Dillon, so don't blame Austin Dillon. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Don't hate Austin Dillon for exposing the NASCAR point system for what it is. All right, let's jump into the comments and see what you guys want to talk about. Let's see. Robin Marks with the super chat. Much appreciated there, Robin. I may quit watching NASCAR. It's a joke. The reaction to Dillon is a joke, and I'm noticing some fans are a big joke. Love this show. Everyone wants to grow the sport, but this is all ugly. Yeah, it is definitely getting ugly. It's getting super personal between the fans, depending on what side they're on. So it is interesting. That's why I say take all the emotion out of it, and I think when you look at it, the precedent is the precedent. They have not suspended drivers for wrecking each other to win. The only wins they've taken away have been guys that didn't go through tech. So Denny Hamlin lost a win because he couldn't get through tech. Kyle Busch was in second place. He didn't get through tech. They had the extra piece of tape at Pocono. I think it was Pocono. So that's the only, in this era, that's the only wins I remember being taken away. But they haven't taken away a win for rough driving. So according to precedent, they shouldn't do anything to Austin Dillon. The only real situation that they might penalize Austin Dillon or the 3 team for is the radio communication with the spotter saying, wreck him, wreck him, wreck him. But that being said, I don't know that you can penalize that either, because, I mean, to be honest with you, if we need to, we can listen to radio communications every week previous to this. I guarantee you, just from working in short track racing, spotters scream all the time, "Wreck this MFer, f this guy, wreck this MFer," because the spotter gets pissed off with him. The spotter's not driving the car though, so it is what it is. So I mean, if you want to find the spotter for that, you can do that if you feel like you need to do that, but it's just going to change it. They're just not going to say wreck him anymore. They're just going to have a code word for it. They're going to say red low, that's wreck him low, red high, wreck him high. He's coming on you high, wreck him high. He's coming on you low, wreck him low. They'll just go to a color or just some other word for it. They won't actually say the word wreck. So I don't think there's nothing you can do about this other than if NASCAR doesn't like what they saw, change the point system or add an additional rule. So that's or start enforcing rough driving when people wreck to win the race. But they haven't done it in the past, so why would you start doing it now just because the guy that was 32nd now 26th in points just because he wrecked him? So I don't know. I don't know. NASCAR taking an extra day. Thank AD for the hype. Yeah, so that's the other thing. NASCAR is absolutely milking this. They could have made this decision today. They know what they're going to do. They could have made this decision today. They didn't do it. They're milking it. They're milking it for maximum exposure. And that's why I say if they do anything like take the win away, it's going to be so egregious because they're milking this thing for exposure. Like he helped them out more than anything, and he did exactly what they wanted him to do. Like this is the system that they have set up. You can't set this system up and then all of a sudden clutch your pearls and say, "Oh dear God, we never thought anything like this would happen." It doesn't work like that. This is the system you set up. You like the drama. You want the entertainment value. He gave you the drama. He gave you the entertainment value. You can't necessarily punish him for that. So it is what it is. Let's see. What's up, Nathan? Timber Ace, what's up? Krusty saying hump day, make the three go away. So he's not a fan of the three, AD 2024, but he also wants him to be president. So there you go. Breaking news, RCR leaves NASCAR and starts short track racing series equals multiple teams leave NASCAR due to no charter agreement. So yeah, I guess that's a layer you can throw onto this as well. They don't have the charter agreement done. So if RCR doesn't like this, maybe they really start showing their butt and stuff like that. So that's another thing to factor in. I don't know that would necessarily be the biggest deal in the world because they haven't had a super great season. I don't know what they could do, but I'm sure they could do something if they really wanted to push the issue. Bigger question is, did Joey Logano get suspended or fined, says Joseph Wooten. So yeah, I do think Joey Logano is looking at something. He oh boy. He went into the pit lane and Austin Dillon's family was there, which you would expect when your driver wins the race. Another reason we should have the driver go to victory lane so his family can go out there and celebrate. His family went out there and celebrated with him on the track, which is normal. We've seen that a million times. We've seen Tyler Reddick do it. We've seen millions of other drivers take their kids out there. Denny Hamlin's had his daughter out there before. So I don't have a problem with the families going and celebrating with their driver winning. People are making this weird argument there shouldn't be children at the track. Well, the children were in their mother's arms. The children were definitely contained. They weren't just like running around loose. So I don't have a problem with that either in this situation. So the real problem, we shouldn't take any of this away. Joey Logano goes on pit road and swerves and does a burnout directly into Austin Dillon's pit crew and family. And thank God nobody was hurt. Thank God nobody was hurt. But Joey Logano is definitely looking at least a monetary fine, possibly a suspension, because it's one of the most dangerous things. And I understand Joey Logano being upset. That's fine. I get you're mad that you lost the race that way. But my God, man, use some common sense. You've got several children of your own, and I know you would lose your mind if somebody else did that to your children. So he's looking at least a stiff monetary fine, possibly a suspension. It'll be interesting to see what NASCAR does about that as well. One wise guy says, I got questions tonight. What's up, Tim? What's up, crew? Says OJ. I can only watch about 3 minutes of the Denny podcast. Had to shut it off. He never thinks he does anything wrong. So delusional, says OJ and toothpaste. That's not just Denny. That's every driver. It's every driver, more or less, is rules for me, not for thee. If I wreck somebody to win, look, it's just good, hard racing. If somebody wrecks me to win, F that MFer. This ain't fair. NASCAR needs to do something about this. We've seen a ton of drivers that have done that before, right? So that's not at all uh, surprising. That's not surprising at all. So we've seen that before. So that doesn't surprise me one bit. OJ saying, "What's up, the wise guy?" Delmar, "What's up, my friend?" Let's see. OJ and Toothpaste says, "My final four predictions for Earth 2, the 71, the 21, the 3, and the 2. The three could be the first ever champion on Earth 1 and Earth 2. We'll see how it works out here. Excited about The Rock," says Delmer. Yeah, The Rock, I think, is going to be a really big deal. I can't wait for them to actually announce it. Basically, Freddie Kraft leaked it, but he leaked it deep into Door Bumper Clear. So I'm not sure how many people actually saw that far into it, but super cool. Carson Hocevar sort of alluded to it, but people didn't know if he was trolling and being serious. But Carson Hocevar technically leaked it earlier. And then, of course, I did the episode earlier where the town council of Rockingham over there, I forget, Richmond County maybe, released that they've got some big news to announce. So we knew at least something was coming. We didn't know exactly what it was, but now we know, according to Freddie Kraft, it's going to be trucks and Xfinity. So that's definitely going to be a big deal. George Hassler, "What's up from Prescott, Arizona?" What's up, George? And what's up, Prescott? And what's up, Arizona? Hope it's not as hot as it has been out there. I know you guys have been suffering through a heat wave here recently, so hopefully it's just normal hot and not super desert hot like it gets out there sometimes. One wise guy saying, "What is Toyota doing, blowing engines in Xfinity and now Gibbs and the latest Martin trying something?" That's a good question. I don't know exactly what's going on with. There's one of two things. You got at it right there. They're either trying something to find some speed, or they got a batch of bad parts. We've seen other organizations get a batch of bad parts and have these series of events where the engines fail. So I would say it's one of the two. Typically, Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't have engine failures. So I would, and the reason I say I don't think they're doing R&D stuff. If they were going to do R&D stuff, they would do the R&D stuff with the 11 and the 20. They wouldn't do it with the 19 and the 54. So my guess is they probably got a batch of bad parts, but we'll find out eventually, or we won't. Who knows? The Jones boy staying at Legacy Motor Club, continuing to build his legacy. See what I did there? I do. I see what you did there. Good work there in between the lanes. Ryan Fussner saying the system created this. Also, for what it's worth, Denny Hamlin could have moved down to avoid Dillon. Yeah, so that's another good point. A lot of people are saying the natural racing groove is this, and Austin Dillon moved down. Austin Dillon did move down a little bit, but there was still room, and Denny Hamlin still has a spotter. So his spotter should have said not clear, outside. So you can make that argument too. So it is what it look. You can argue it either way. I don't care which way you argue it, but what I'm saying is you can't suspend Dillon for something NASCAR wanted to happen. This is the system NASCAR created. Or you can, but it's setting new precedent, because the precedent before this has been you can wreck to win and NASCAR is not going to do anything about it. That's there's no two ways around it. So if they do it, then they've changed precedents. They've changed precedent in the middle of the season, and I do have a problem with that, because if it's like that at the beginning of the season, it should be like that at the end of the season. You can't change rules in the middle of the season because a guy does something, and you can't punish him that race. At least you can change it, but it has to be for the race after that. Like that's not the way to do it. Just because somebody does something you don't like, you can't change the rules right there in the middle of the game. You can't penalize them for something that, since this playoffs have started, this playoff system has started. You haven't penalized anybody about it before, so it is what it is. We'll see what they do. Now, if you want to make a rule about it after the fact, so you could say from this race forward, the rules are going to be this, so we don't want to see this again. I'm totally okay with that. Did Hamlin hold his line, or did he get loose? I say loose, says one wise guy. I think he thought he was clear. Like he almost cleared Austin Dillon, and that was kind of like a block, to be honest with you. He was blocking Austin Dillon to make sure Austin Dillon didn't get by him. I want to say there's a part of me that thinks the 11 car thought he was clear, and that's why I brought the spotter up into it. There's a good chance he thought he was going to clear Austin Dillon. Maybe that was a self clear, an aggressive self clear. So we'll see. Free Ross from the midfield says, Quattro, what's up, Quattro? Good to see you on here as always, my friend. Free Ross from the midfield. He had a pretty good finish here. So he's had a few rough weeks, but these last 2 weeks, he's been pretty decent. He's going to get some of those points back. All he's got to do is keep doing what he did at Richmond, getting those good finishes. Let's see. Rock'em Socks 34. I don't talk about politics, but you're more than welcome to have whatever political opinion you would like. I'm just not going to talk about them because we just like to relax and talk about racing here. Delmer Kaufman saying somehow RCR always finds a way to stay relevant. Yeah, for sure. Austin Dillon likes to get into the play. This is the sixth time I want to say. He's going to be in the playoffs unless they take it away from him. So he's good for getting into the playoffs. I put him right there around the Eric Almirola type driver. He gets the job done. Somehow RCR always finds. I just read that one. 83 did send it with Joey, but that's neither here nor there. Says one wise guy. I mean, look, he took Joey Logano out. There's no doubt about it. Whether he meant to bump and run on him or whether he meant to take him all the way out, that whatever. The end scenario is he took him out. But we've seen other drivers do the exact same thing. We've seen Ryan Newman took out Kyle Larson in the original playoffs. I want to say when the original playoffs started. So I can't remember what race it was. We've seen it since the thing started. So I mean, guys have moved people to get into the playoffs. It is what it is. They weren't penalized for it then. So here's the thing: if you want to penalize Dylan for doing it twice, he should get the exact same. You should multiply it times two what the other guys that have previously done stuff like this got. And they got zero penalties. So 2 times 0 is 0. So I mean, you got to have some level of consistency in NASCAR. You don't have to, but it would make sense to have some level of consistency. Sunday night looked like an ARCA race. By the way, I stopped watching ARCA because every race in ARCA was ending like this, says Bruce Carvey. I think that's a great point, and that's what I think. NASCAR needs to look at this and do something, but you don't need to penalize Austin Dillon because Austin Dillon did exactly what you want him to do. This is the system you set up. So Austin Dillon drove to the system you set up. What NASCAR needs to do is not penalize Austin Dillon. NASCAR needs to fix this system. That's what needs to be done. We need to take our eyes off of the 3, the 22, and the 11. We need to take our eyes off of that, the 47 and the 41. Take our eyes off of that debate and put our eyes on the system that NASCAR has created because that's what needs to be fixed. We don't need to penalize Austin Dillon. We need to fix the current point system. So that's what needs to be done. BB, would you get the Austin Dillon Richmond win diecast? It says in between the lanes, already ordered, my friend, already ordered. Because no matter how this ends up, this is going to be a historic moment in NASCAR. So that's going to be my one diecast that I buy for the year. So yeah, I did buy it because I feel like this is going to be a pivotal moment. Just like the Ross Chastain riding the wall was a pivotal moment that brought about a new rule in NASCAR. So I think this is going to be a good diecast to have. Please don't watch F1. Please don't F1 NASCAR with over officiating, says Joseph Wooten. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't take away the contact, but take away the incentive to make that contact, right? So that's what I'm saying when you need to fix the system. You need to fix the system not to incentivize opportunism. There's always going to be drivers that move guys for the win, but you can't incentivize it. That's the most important thing. Like win at all costs. You can't make that the way it is and then get upset when somebody wins at all costs. I mean, it is what it is. Let's see. Just wanted to say thank you for interacting with the comments, whether it is live chat or on an upload, says Sir Wood Rooster. Yeah, I try to get to as many of them as I can. That last video had over like 400 or something. I'm still trying to get to some of them. So if I missed you on that one, I'm trying to get to them. But we do this every Tuesday. So if I do miss you on one, you can always jump on here and I'll try to get to you here. Pop on the radio was fake news in the media room was very funny, says one wise guy. Yeah, that's funny. And what's funny is on Door Bumper Clear, they said RCR carries like 4 different radios. So they got 4 different channels. So there's a good chance that Richard Childress might not have heard the guy say it because there's no telling what channel that Richard Childress is actually on. So that was a fair point. So maybe Richard didn't hear it. Maybe Alexander didn't hear it. But it was said according to all of the media. They do have the audio. I don't think it was AI digitally altered or anything like that. So although that was speculated, Even if the SMT data says the 3 turned left, it was so bang bang he was turning to straighten the car out because he was loose wrecking. That's a great point, Ryan Fussner. I haven't even got into that. The 22 was up here, so he had to come down left anyway. So that's a good point as well. I hadn't even really thought about that or made that point. I've thought about it, but I hadn't, I guess, necessarily made that point yet. Rickenham went on purpose, or did he turn because the collision happened and he was correcting? That's a great point. That's why I'm saying you can say he hooked him, but it's going to be you can say he hooked him and you can say it was on purpose, but it's also very easy to make the case that he did it not trying to avoid the 22. He didn't necessarily do it on purpose. The 11 came up, the 3 came down. They met in the middle. You can make all kinds of arguments. I know the natural racing groove and all that, but the 11 also has a spotter saying, "Hey, the 3's coming down, stay low." There's all kinds of layers to it. The people that are saying it's the natural racing line, they're missing. They're leaving out critical context that the 11 has a spotter as well. What is the beef with RCR and Ricky? Says Delmer. Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fight earlier in the season. That's the beef there. I was watching preseason football this weekend and saw hair club commercial with Frankie Munoz in it. Says in between the lanes. Hey, so there you go. He's joined Team Joey Logano. I remember after Martinsville race, Joey said short track racing, and then Denny mocked him and said short track racing. It was a meme. Boys, it was short track racing, says Duke Chronic. Hey, there you go. That's where I'm at with it. There was a short track race, and people's feelings are hurt. Stop me if you've heard that one before. Who is everyone? We're not getting into politics there. Rock'em Sock'em. Anybody who was in the same position Austin was in would do the same thing, says Art. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Like, if I was in the comments, at least, I've seen a lot of people say if I was in Austin's position, I would have done the same thing. And with this system, I think most people would do the same thing. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I was checking the NASCAR app and didn't see anything yet on the Austin Dillon situation. Yeah, they said it's going to be Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be when they make the announcement. Austin had a Earnhardt moment, says Kaufman. Welcome to the next gen bump and run with the transaxle shifting, bigger brakes and such. They got to send it to make up ground on every corner, says Tim Brace. That's a fair point too. You've built close to an indestructible car, and you expect them not to go out there and hit each other with it. Bumpers are made for bumping. And that's what these drivers are going to use them for. So there you go. Don't take the win away from Dillon. You can't wait a couple of days later to do that, says OJ. I think that's a good point. And there's no precedent to take the win away from him because they've never, since the playoff system has started, they've never taken a win away from somebody for wrecking to win. I predict both will get a big fine and Joey will lose some points. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about his deal. That was a really bad look, and NASCAR frowns on pit charades. I agree. I think the Austin Dillon, that just shows you how big the Austin Dillon moment was for NASCAR, that nobody's even talking about Joey Logano almost really, really effing up bad, like effing up bad. Joey Logano is talking about he's going to get payback on Austin Dillon. He might need to worry about Austin Dillon taking another swipe at him for swerving at his wife and child. Like I would, if I was Joey Logano, I'd be more concerned about that than getting payback on the racetrack for Austin Dillon taking the win away from you. There's some things in life that are bigger than wins in NASCAR, and the family is definitely one of them. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. That might get super real as the season goes on. The right hook is the biggest issue. However, it is interpreted, could be the reason for the penalty on pass calls, says Dirty Dev. That's a good point. So if NASCAR interprets the right hook to be intentional, you are looking at a suspension for a race, but they probably are not going to take the race win away. So, and the only significant difference between him and was it Chase Elliott did it to somebody and Bubba Wallace did it to Larson. I can't remember who was Chase Elliott on Denny Hamlin. So yeah, Chase Elliott on Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace on Kyle Larson. So they got suspended because theirs was retaliatory, whereas you can argue Austin Dillon's was bang bang, but that's the only difference between them. I do think if NASCAR rules that the intent was intentional. So big question there. That's up to NASCAR as to whether or not what they're going to do on that. But yeah, you could be looking at a race suspension for Dillon if they deem it was intentional there. Pocono 2022, correct. BB Eminem's fan appreciation 400. Okay, so there you go. AD should have said it. It was the 3 car. It just took over and drove itself, says Paul Moss. I'm telling you, man, how many T-shirts and hats and stuff would he have sold if he got out of that car and said, "I didn't mean to wreck him. I was just trying to rattle his cage." That would have been the ultimate. That would have been the ultimate if he got out of the car and said that. Quattro gifting memberships. Appreciate you there, Quattro. Super nice of you, my friend. Tim Ray saying, "Are you not entertained?" Going I watched Gladiator just the other day. So throwing the old "Are you not entertained" from Gladiator out there. Let's see. There was a vision that was Rome. Let's see. Kenny Wallace said, "Don't send Austin Dillon to victory lane if NASCAR didn't like it." There you go. If you're going to take the win away, you got to do it in that moment. I agree with Kenny Wallace on that. You got to do it in that moment, like the Cars Tour did at Hickory with Millington. So if you're taking the win away, you got to do it in that moment. I agree with that. My honest question for you, BB: do you think even the hook here is different? That's all spur of the moment. It wasn't done with malice. It was him panicking more than anything and doing what he had to do. So yeah, if he did hook him on purpose or whatever, I don't think you can make the argument he wasn't trying to hook him. He was just trying to get him. Like you can make that argument he wasn't trying to hook him into the wall. He was just trying to make some contact. If he did it on purpose, trying to get him loose. So it is a little bit different than when maliciously I'm pissed off at this guy. I'm gonna right hook him into the wall. So you can't. That's definitely an argument that can be made for sure. Probably another incident where RCR intentionally wrecked somebody, but other teams will end up getting fined because of their reaction, says Dirty Death. Yeah, so I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think the radio, you can probably ding them for the radio, and like I said, I think even then you're probably going to get a situation where guys just change the code word on the radio to something else for a situation like that. B saying thank you, Quattro. What's your final two for the playoffs? Oh, final two. I don't know. Final four. I don't. I haven't even thought about it yet. I hope, to be totally honest with you, just to further expose the system, I hope Austin Dillon's one of them, so people just completely miss about it. I want the playoff system to be seen for what it is. Brickyard with the super chat, much appreciated, my friend. Fist bump there. Get free racing, no stages, save the fans a half hour, take this restart zone away, put all starts on the flagman. Yeah, I'm okay with that. As long as if you're going to put it in the hands of the flagman, let's go to single file restarts as well until the last 10 or 15 laps there. So for sure, I think that's a good idea. Good call there, Brickyard. I don't like you can keep the stages, just take away the stage cautions. So yeah, I think I like all that. I like what you're putting down there. Let's see, we got another one down here. Quattro saying Dylan's punishment should be him being banned from voicing any characters in any new Cars movie. That'll teach him for sure. So there you go. That is probably the harshest. That is the harshest penalty I think I've ever seen in NASCAR history. Quattro, that's a good one, man. I like that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that in the future. That's good stuff, dude. Let's see. Let me jump back up here to where I was at. Let's see. The other playoff drivers should be happy Dylan is in. He had a good car at Richmond, but not near as good as some of the guys around the cutoff line. So yeah, if you're already in the playoffs, I don't think that you're necessarily the way they've run all season. And I hate to say it, but hopefully they're getting hot at the right time, because I've always pulled for the 3 car, even since the Dale Earnhardt senior days. So I'm hoping they're getting hot at the right time. But if you're in the playoffs already and you think they're going to run like they've run all season, you're probably not super upset that he's in the playoffs, because that's one less guy in your mind that you have to worry about. Denny in the spring race knew he had to go just before the line to get any advantage, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, so games are played all the time. That's a little bit different. That's a restart situation. But yeah, games are played all the time. The win wasn't taken away in that situation either, though. I see what you're saying. What's the junior announcement for the Morrow, says Nathan Campbell? I don't know. I don't have any insight into that. My guess would be maybe he's going to announce he's actually going to race an Xfinity Series race next year, because previously they said they didn't have anything lined up. So I'm sure somebody jumped on there and was like, oh, we'll take care of that. Just ordered a petty NASCAR hauler diecast autographed by Richard and Kyle. Not unusual, but Mark and Richie are going to sign it also. Excited. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. They've got a podcast, by the way, if you want to check it out. On their YouTube channel. I think it's all the Petty Boys. Imagine Whitney Dillon and having Joey Logano come sliding to a stop in front of you and screaming "frick" and then doing a burnout. Yeah, it was a bad situation. The Joey Logano deal is like I said, the Austin Dillon situation. It shows how big it is, because to somebody's point earlier, we're not even really talking about the Joey Logano deal, and that was bad. That was bad. I like Joey Logano. I like him a lot, actually. I think he's a really good race car driver. I think he's good for the sport because he drives aggressively, even though he might not necessarily like it when it's done back to him. Uh, but doing that, man, I can't defend that. I can't defend that. What he did was so bad. Like, that's one of the worst things I've ever seen at a racetrack. And I get that he was mad, But man, that was that was not the way to handle that. You and I are the only people that blame NASCAR for this. You can't find Dylan when NASCAR created this mess. Thank you, John Ray. That's exactly what I'm saying. This is a NASCAR mess. This is not an Austin Dillon mess. This is Austin Dillon exposing a NASCAR system. This so don't I don't get people putting all the blame on Austin Dillon here. Chase Elliott has a new paint scheme released. It had to do with the Design 9 to Drive campaign with the Children's Hospital of Atlanta. Says in between the lanes. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool for sure. He should be kicked out of the playoffs, says Nathan Campbell. But why? They haven't kicked any other driver that's wrecked for the win out of the playoffs. So there's no precedent for it. So why all of a sudden do we need to do it to Austin Dillon? Like that would be my counter question to that. Logano and Penske might have put out a statement. I might have to put out a statement, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Could you imagine if they suspend Joey Logano? That would be interesting. That would be super interesting. Fine and suspend Joey Logano, and then Austin Dillon doesn't get suspended. That would be super interesting. Denny Hamlin started his podcast with a nice long bleep. Says in between the lanes. Yeah, he knows how to get views. He knows how to be spicy. So it is what it is. So, a lot of his podcast, just like everybody else's podcast, a lot of it is performative. Was he still really mad at that moment? No. He just knows how to start off a podcast. So it is what it is. OJ, they honestly need to, says Bumblebee. This is not Dylan's fault. Talking about B's referring to suspend Joey Logano. This is not Dylan's fault. Not the 22 car or the 11 car or the team. This is NASCAR's fault. I'm right there with you, M. They are letting guys run. Let's see here. Letting guys running 32nd in points into the playoffs. Joey and his pit road incident shouldn't have happened. I 100% agree with everything you said there. That's exactly the way I see it too. 32nd in points, and you got a chance to win a race, especially a race that you had already won before Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Yeah, I can see 100% why Austin Dillon would do what he did. Like, I'm not even mad about it, because this is what NASCAR wants. This is the NASCAR system. They want the drama. They want the spectacle. They want all of this attention and all of this talking that is happening about NASCAR right now. This is what they want. So why would you punish Austin Dillon for doing exactly what you set up and exactly what you want? So yeah, this is a NASCAR issue. And Joey Logano, you can't do that in the pits for sure. For sure. I agree with that 100%. Chevy wrecks a Ford. Ford gets in trouble. Seems correct, says Dummer Kaufman. I mean, they can go through the they can go through the list of Ford wrecking Chevy, but it is what it is, and not getting in trouble. So it is what it is. Like, you can pull for who you want to pull for, but at the end of the day, they all do it. It's all the same. And when it gets done to them, for the most part, they cry about it. Like, it's okay when they do it, but whenever somebody, even Austin Dillon, I forget, wasn't he complaining about somebody running into him earlier in the season? So it is what it is. Do unto me. As I do not do unto me as I do unto you, I guess is what I was trying to say. Let's see. Will Elite ever figure out Earth 2? Says one wise guy. Oh yeah, I talked to him on Twitter. I messaged him on Twitter and filled him in on what Earth 2 is. Get out and support the Rock. Buy those tickets, says Delmer. Let's see, TJ, what's his face? New to this channel. Is this channel name Bologna Burger a nod to South Boston Speedway, or just enjoying fine dining? Sorry if this is a common question. It's all good, TJ. Yeah, this is not only South Boston, but Orange County and Ace Speedway. All three of them back in the day had bologna burgers, and all of the drivers that raced at those tracks, or all of the drivers pretty much raced at all those same tracks. So if you went to one track, they all had the same, but they all had a different version of the bologna burger. South Boston's, without a doubt, is definitely the most famous, though. I wasn't a fan of the move because it makes it harder for Ross to get into the playoffs, but hard to feel sympathy for the 11 and the 22. Yeah, if you're on the playoff cut line, you did not like this move. There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, this is the system. So I'm hating the game, not the player. I'm in LaGrange, Texas, and it's been really hot, says Art. Hopefully it cools down for you there in LaGrange. Hey y'all, so are we team? I'm going to act outraged that people are on pit road like we've seen for years. Or team Logano should have known better, says Say Kyle. I'm team Logano should have known better, because how many times have we seen people celebrate with their and really, if you want to get to the crux of it, that's why we need victory lane interviews and not interviews at the start finish line. So Once again, NASCAR created that problem too. But we've always seen families celebrate with the driver that wins, so that's not anything new. What Joey Logano did was the problem, not people being on pit road, because people have been on pit road for years. And even if you take out the family standing there, there were still 4 or 5 NASCAR officials standing there, and the NASCAR officials are always standing there. So Joey Logano was about to hit them too. So take the family aspect out of it, because whatever. I don't know why people are even bringing that argument into it. But the NASCAR officials were there too. So what are you going to say about that? Should we not have NASCAR officials on pit lane? So it is what it is. It was a dumb move by Joey Logano on pit lane, and that's really all that needs to be said about it. We don't need to add all this extra stuff into it. You can do that 2 or 3 weeks later or whatever if you really want to make that argument. But now's not the time. And do you think they should keep everyone off pit road after the race until all the cars come to a stop? Says like dislike, except for the winning driver's family, and typically they do. But like I just said, he was about to take out officials right there too. So it is, and over the wall gang was right there. So he melted down, and did something dumb. Like we've all lost our cool and done something dumb. I'm not gonna throw him under the bus for that. But what he did was dumb, and he probably needs to face some type of penalty for it. 100% correct. BB, NASCAR created this, and they cannot fine him for something that is their own fault. There you go. Boom. That's exactly what I think. Please tap the like button if you enjoy the show. Yes, if you want to hit the like button, it would be much appreciated, but don't feel pressure to. Joey knows better, says say Kyle. I agree. RCR will appeal the decision, and BB will be their lawyer with his take. Says Mark Barnum. There you go. They can feel free to use my take because I feel like it's fairly accurate. We should be able to talk about anything in the chat, says Rock'em Sock'em. You can talk about anything in the chat. I just don't have to talk about it myself. Hi from San Antonio, Arizona, says Sean Kaminsky. What's up, Sean? What's up, San Antonio? Santan, Arizona. 22, that's a new one. I haven't heard of Santan, so I'm going to have to look that one up. 22 should have stayed behind the 3. Then he could have been in control. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of 2020 hindsight. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do. Mike Ora, Leroy Jenkins, Austin Dillon, probably. Yes, that's good. I like the old Leroy Jenkins memes. One of the greatest of all times. Brian saying Austin Dillon is no Dale Earnhardt. He's more like Ty Gibbs. Dale Jr. Was worried about RCR having to close his doors like MWR because of Dillon's move at Richmond on his podcast earlier today. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at all. Austin Dillon will be a DNP, says Ben Kluber. Bumblebee saying, what's up to Mike? BB, sincerely, do you think we should go back to the old school system, pre-playoff / chase rules? Me personally, I would like season-long points. That's where I stand. But even going back to the chase, if you just go back to the original chase, that gets rid of all drivers trying to be this aggressive, right? So it is what it is. Either way, you've got to figure out a system that takes away somebody who is this far back in points, knowing that this is their only way to get into the playoffs, because that's what created this, and that's what you got to get rid of. So you've got to take it back to some type of meritocracy. The best way to do that would just make wins worth more points, a lot more points, so that you still go for wins, but you know that if you win, you're not going to go from 32nd to 14th in points. That's all you really need to do. And that's all originally fans wanted. In the Latford system, the Winston Cup point system, that's what fans wanted. They just wanted the wins to count for more points, and that's all they wanted. And then we got the chase and now the playoff system from that, because NASCAR listened and then super over adjusted for it. Dylan won, and the fault goes with NASCAR, period, says Roger Riggs. I agree with that 100%. I might get that Austin Dylan diecast too, says OJ and Toothpaste. Yeah, that's a good one. Just so you know, Bass Pro Shops has a sale, a hunting sale. Mike Ora, hey B, let's see. Say Kyle, Joey knew better for sure, says Bumblebee. 1 diecast per year, and you didn't get the Byron Daytona 500 win, BB. Be right back. Have to go throw up, says Say Kyle. That's because I've got the William Byron Rookie of the Year, and I'm waiting for the William Byron Championship diecast to go with that. The William Byron Rookie of the Year is signed, by the way, so I guess I'll have to get the championship diecast signed as well. So there you go. Do away with the green-white checker flag, bull hockey, and this would not happen and stand anymore, says Robert. Exactly. Get rid of the green-white checkered. Dale Jr. had a pretty funny reaction to the Stenhouse incident. I mean, it's easy to make a case that he did it on purpose. It's very easy, and that's race manipulation right there. I had Austin Dillon's primary Bass Pro Shop diecast on my list until I found out it was canceled according to diecast. That sucks. I hate that they canceled it. 3 and 11 is a racing deal. It's going to happen, says one wise guy. That's the way I saw it too. That's the way I saw it too. Kyle, is Dale Jr. Is that the announcement for tomorrow? Says Nathan Campbell. No, I don't think that's going to be the announcement tomorrow. The fiasco on pit road with the 22 shows how much stress the drivers have. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. This is it's a hard thing to it's a hard thing to put into words when you can have a really good season and still not make the playoffs, and then guys that didn't have a really good season did. So it is what it is. I found a video on Instagram. It was Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano 2018 Martinsville battle that became a war. It says in between the lanes. That's a famous one too. Baloney Burger Jr. He's watching from his private office where he does his best thinking. So much appreciated, Junior. Ricky doesn't have a problem with RCR, just with Bush. He said he actually called and talked to Richard, and everything was cool. Says Dirty Def. He probably does and did, and that's probably a good thing to say in that moment. But he also probably still isn't really happy about it. So it is what it is. You can make the argument either way. I'm not saying he did or didn't. I'm just saying it was interesting timing, to say the very least, because those two guys were not racing for position. They were on different laps. So I don't know why they were doing what they were doing. So Hamlin really popped his shoulder out. He took a big swig of Coke during the interview, says one wise guy. I don't know. He looked like he was doing okay in the whole podcast today. So hopefully he's all right. You don't want to see anybody get hurt. Joey may need to look out for Paul Swan. He's a pretty big dude, says Delmer Kaufman. Martin Truex won the race on Earth 2 today. Yeah, so last place finish for Martin Truex on Earth 1. It gets him the dub on Earth 2. Absolutely, he does. He has kids, and I would expect him to be absolutely livid if someone did that around Brittany Logano and their kids. That's a fair point. Major chump move, plus 100. Logano, 8 points, says Say Kyle. Yeah. I mean, if anybody does that to your wife and kids, I don't care who you are, you're going to be mad about it. So it is what it is, even if you wronged them first. So it is what it is. Let's see here. Lee Cameron, it looks like when Dylan is turning left, Denny is still behind him, and you can run the natural line, and then there is a car beside you. Denny was behind him, so he knew he was there, says Lee. I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. I agree with that 100%. Let's see, 100%, say Kyle, says B. How do you feel about the Dale Senior rhetoric, says Tommy Dubs? It's just because he's in the 3 car. I don't think anybody's really comparing Austin Dillon to Dale Earnhardt Sr. It is what it is, but it's the 3 car, so you're going to get the comparisons. Earnhardt moved people for wins too, so it is what it is. But they're not the same driver. Cheers, says Dave Scott. Cheers to you as well, my friend. Does NASCAR have the black flag anymore? Says like dislike. Good question. Good question. Will Todd Gilliland win a race this year? Says OJ and Toothpaste. He's got a chance. I hope he does. He showed a lot of improvement. He's just gotten better and better every single year. So he'll get one. Hopefully he'll get one done before it's all over with. Milton, take Austin Dillon's win away from him, fine him $2 million, suspend him for the rest of the season, and make him do 100 hours of service for Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. so Milton on the other end of it, without question. Just saw a Reddit comment that suggests if Austin Dillon gets suspended with no waiver, RCR should swap drivers and put KB in the 3 and have him go for owner's points. Says MG. That would be an interesting move, and that would be super. That would super anger a lot of the Earnhardt traditionalists who don't want Kyle Busch in that car, including some Earnhardt family members, because that was discussed earlier. Duke Chronic saying 101 viewers, much appreciated. All of you that are watching right now, as always. Code words don't always work. Ask Michael Waltrip Racing, and this isn't your. I'm tired radio conversation. So there you go. Yeah, that one's a little too obvious. But if you just say blue, Blue low. That's a different situation. Richard Petty said with no one should be rewarded with that kind of win, says Jamie Schweitzer. I don't disagree with that sentiment, but what I'm saying is the precedent that NASCAR has set, you can't penalize somebody all of a sudden when you haven't penalized people in the past for wrecking for wins. That's all I'm getting at. I'm just going off precedent. I'm not saying what was done was right. I'm just saying based off what NASCAR has done in the past, why are we going to start? Why are we going to start penalizing it now? That's the argument I'm making. Have you heard any manufacturers coming in? Says Sean Kaminsky. Just a lot of talk about Honda, but nothing in concrete yet. You have to start somewhere though. Might as well throw the rule book out if you don't follow it, says Tommy. You do, but you can't penalize him today for something that other guys have got away with. But you can say going forward from this is the last time we're ever going to see this. This is what they did with Ross Chastain with the wall ride. Like, okay, you got one by on us. We don't ever want to see this again from here on out. If you ride the wall, we're taking away, whatever the penalty is for that now. So you can say that with Austin Dillon too. All right, Austin Dillon, you got one by on us, but from here on out, if we see something like this, it's not going to fly. If somebody else does something like this, we're taking the race win away. That's the move NASCAR needs to make. That's the fair way of doing it because they have not penalized anybody else for wrecking to win a race to get into the playoffs. So that's the right call in my opinion to make. None of those people should have been blocking a hot pit road, says Brian Kidder. But to be honest with you, they weren't blocking the hot pit road. They were in Austin Dillon's pit stall. Joey Logano swerved into him. So it is, I mean, you can make the argument all you want to, but when you've got, they were behind the NASCAR officials. So the NASCAR officials are the line, and Joey Logano swerved into that. So Joey Logano had room to go where he needed to go. He just was voicing his displeasure with the RCR gang and didn't do it in the best way. So it is what it is. They can't suspend Joey. I still have 3 more opportunities to use him in my fantasy league before the cutoff. Says Delmer. LOL. I hope Elite does figure out E2. Yeah, I sent him a message. I told him what it's all about. If Joey gets suspended, he couldn't count himself lucky. If he had lost control and hit the wife or child. NASCAR could have ripped his license up. Says Bruce Garvey. That's definitely the counter argument and a good point there. Winning you're in. It's on NASCAR, says Brett. I agree. As a Mark Martin fan, I can't feel bad for Joey. It's karma, says Mark Martin fan for life. Hello, this has all been fun. Hello, this has been fun. Logano fine. Austin Dillon, no fine. Just a pat on the back. And the hamster sign out to clean the bathrooms in the new building, says William Wagaman. I don't know why the top 16 in points just don't move on. The win in your end deal is dumb. You should reward consistency, not solely wins, says Tommy Dubs. I agree. And what you're talking about is the meritocracy I was talking about earlier. It used to be a meritocracy. Now it's all about opportunism. It's all about opportunism and who can do something to win right now, regardless of the ethics of it. That's opportunism. Whereas it used to be meritocracy, the guys that drove the best to get in. Austin Dillon thinks Brad K wrecks him on purpose. Any chance he gets, he's been mad ever since that hit after the wall at Daytona, says Dirty Death. Yeah, and they got into it at Michigan one year too, maybe 2020 or 2019, 2021, somewhere in there. I'm not great with years. Yeah, they Austin Dillon and Brad K have had some issues as well, and that's what I'm saying. Austin Dillon, he's no different as far as that goes than Joey or Denny. They can move somebody for the win, and Austin Dillon can move somebody for the win. But when somebody moves him out of the way, he doesn't like it, and he voices his displeasure about it too. And that's just not those 3. That's literally the vast majority of every driver that's ever driven anything. They're all hypocrites. I can do it, and it's just racing. When it gets done to me, it's the end of the world. I want to talk about RCR turn their backs to Sheldon Creed, but stand beside Baby Austin. It was the exact same move, says MC. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see how that's. I don't see how it's the same move. The Sheldon Creed deal. Sheldon Creed got moved by the 21 or whatever. No. I don't know. That's. I don't know. It is what it is. They just don't like Sheldon Creed, and he doesn't like them, and that's just the way that is. Let's see. Plus, Sheldon Creed didn't win the race. I know that because Sheldon Creed hasn't won an Xfinity race yet. I don't think he's got one. He's gotten close though. Let's see. If you move your teammate, you got to win the race. That's all there is to that. Creed brought a lot of that on itself, says Bumblebee. One wise guy saying join the Discord. So there's the link for Discord, and there is the merch link if you want to check out the merch store. All those people were 20 foot away from the pit wall. Joe Logano was pissed because a group of people were blocking the track. He wasn't mad that they were blocking the track. He was mad because he lost the race, and he did it specifically in front of the 3 car pits. Joey was one laying down lower than the rest of the cars coming in. It wasn't a hot pit road, and he knew it, but Roger will pay his fine. Good evening from Maryland, says Hobby Tone. What's up, Hobby Tone? What's up, Maryland? Nothing much. Hope Honda comes into NASCAR. Yeah, I think any added manufacturers add excitement to the sport. It gives you somebody to either pull for or against. I wish NASCAR would put out a video on their website of Mike Hilton, Robin Pemberton, Robbie Pemberton saying, boys have at it. I'd love it. I can't remember which one said it. I think it was Pemberton. I'm also from Maryland, says like dislike. Dylan one up to Dale by wrecking 2 guys on the final corner of the final lap, says Napa Racing fan. Most cars aren't running 147 miles an hour or doing burnouts on pit road after the race is over. So a hot pit road argument is kind of ridiculous, says Lee Cameron. This is the drama they want for their entertaining playoff system, says Napa Racing fan. Yep. PNG Cup Series. Hi, BB. It's PNG Cup Series. What's up, PNG? Hope you're doing good there. Thunder Strikes from Discord. This is my alt YouTube account. So there you go. Check out PNG Cup Series. True Hobby Stone or True Hobby Tone. Much appreciated. Yeah, good channel there. So go check him out. NASCAR ain't going back. The attention span of today's fans can't hold them with the old standards, says Hobby Tone. Yeah, 100%. That's pretty much the argument to make. A lot of people are like, this is going to prove that NASCAR should go back to the meritocracy. But if you look at all the attention that NASCAR is getting, all the clicks, all the views, it's hard to make an argument that what they did is wrong from that aspect of it. So it is what it is. Right now, no fine, 41% leading the way. I don't think Dylan will get penalized. If anything, he'll get a bonus for the promotional material. We have given NASCAR on the final lap. As an only Joey fan, I am not going to defend his burnout on pit road, but he wasn't going to lose control of his car, causing any harm to pedestrians, says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, he might not have lost control of it, but yeah, it just wasn't a good. You just don't do that. You just can't do that. And I know you're not defending him, but he knows he can't do that, and he knows he shouldn't have done that. And probably 5 seconds after he got out of that car, he was like, "Yeah, that was dumb." Like I can almost guarantee you that. But he was mad. The adrenaline was flowing, but you just can't do that. You can't do it. Spot on, BB. Keep the old point system, but just give more points for race wins. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the fix to it if NASCAR really wants to fix it, or does NASCAR want you to think they care? That's all gonna depend on what they do with their penalties tomorrow. I never thought I'd be wishing for races to end under caution again, says Timber Race. I've been screaming that and losing that argument for a long time. How about this? Top 16 drivers who have the highest combined total DNFs and drivers feature commercials make the playoffs. Champion is crowned by most Coca-Cola interview sips. Solid system, says Say Kyle. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much the Earth 2 system if you don't win. The NFL needs NASCAR's playoff system. The Panthers could make the playoffs with 2 wins, says Delmer Kaufman. How bad is it going to be if they're waiting until Wednesday? I don't see how they can throw a penalty on Logano and nothing on Dylan. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that's part of the discussion they're having. I think this whole thing is blown up so big. NASCAR is now forced into acting. Yeah, they should have done it sooner rather than later, and they really shouldn't read anything on Twitter or watch anything on YouTube or anything like that. They should have just made their decision. And if they're going to take the win away, they should have done that at the racetrack. But if you're going to penalize him, you should have done it. You should have done it today because the thing's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And I think to an extent they're milking it for the attention and for the drama. But I don't see how you can. I don't see how you can do anything. You can maybe suspend Austin Dillon, saying that he did the right hook on purpose. You can suspend him, but you can't take the win away. You can't take him out of the playoffs because other guys have wrecked to win. So their precedent there is wreck to win is okay. So you can't take that away from him. So maybe suspend him and you have to give him a waiver if you suspend him because there's precedent there too. And then Joey on pit road. I don't know what you do about that because that's so bad. Like you can't have that. So maybe make it if you don't suspend him, you got to make it a significant fine, like in the millions, for sure. So yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do, for sure. And I don't know if they should have milked it an extra day. I think they should have. I think they should have made their announcements today. But it is what it is. What's up, Mark Langren? Good to see you on here. Kyle Larson got into Austin Dillon on the final lap. Then Dillon approached him at the 5 car to let him know. LOL. Then Kyle gave him a thumbs up as he was walking away. Like, okay, brother, I won't see you again. Says A1. Yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, Austin Dillon is not perfect in this either. When he gets touched, he doesn't like it either. So it is what it is. Perfectly said. The Bologna of the Burgers has spoken. If Dylan gets any penalties, I'm sending Ernesto to NASCAR headquarters. Says John Williams. No penalties for anybody. Let's move on. Says Hobby. Yeah, I mean, maybe do some fines. Take some money out of their pockets. But yeah, I don't necessarily know that we're going to see any suspensions or penalties. Change up the championship to 4 races, one of each type, and points from all 4 races count with 10 cars, one of each type with a random draw for each track. It could be, could be. One wild guy saying, "What's up, PNG?" Uh, to quote a retiring driver, he may have won the battle, but he won't win the war. Says Jamie Schweitzer. It'll be interesting if it turns out exactly like that deal turned out. What if Austin Dillon does win the war, like Joey Logano did win the war that year? William Wagaman saying the GOAT. If you don't want to watch aggressive drivers, you can go watch F1. Says MC. That's there you go. NASCAR has bumpers and they're going to use them. So I do agree with that sentiment as well. I'm not putting the tinfoil hat on. This time Ricky just can't drive. Says like dislike. The spotter and driver were in the pit box. Says MC. 3 car was brought back because of family. Will Carson Hocevar retire with Spire? Will another big team pick him up? Says OJ and Toothpaste. That's a good question because Spire is doing some interesting stuff. That's a good question. I don't have a crystal ball, so it's hard to say. I'll be very happy when Cup drivers like Stenhouse and Priest are out of Cup, screwing up the show. Throw LaJoy in that mix as well. That is until the next crappy driver comes along to fill those shoes. Says Ryan. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair. Without Ricky Stenhouse, we're not even having this conversation. So that's fair as well. Rumors, LaJoy swap with Haley. That's definitely out there for sure. Or the 19 in the truck series replacing Christian Eckes, who has been linked with Colleague. What should Corey do? Does he want money or does he want to go win? That's the question because he'll get paid more to race in the Cup Series. But he'll probably have a better chance of winning. Not even probably. He will have a better chance of winning in the Truck Series. Carson getting those two top 10s. Says one wise guy. Yeah, definitely impressive from Carson so far. If I was Dylan, I would laugh every time I dusted off that trophy. Says like dislike. I'm pretty sure he will. I don't think he's going to have any problem sleeping at night. Christopher Bell, Mobile One diecast canceled. That's a bummer. If Honda or another OEM comes in, do you think only teams that are new charter teams, or do you think an existing team would switch up? If so, what team? The only team I can really think of would be Spire. I think Spire will go. I think you probably could have got Stuart Haas to go too, but now that they're gone, I think it's just going to be Spire and maybe whoever else they can pull in. Maybe a Rick Ware or somebody, but Rick Ware seems to be happy with Ford, so I don't know. Rulebook, the NASCAR rules are written on a chalkboard, or maybe Trackhouse. Trackhouse likes to do wild stuff, so maybe Trackhouse. Rulebook, NASCAR rules are written on a chalkboard in the office. Corey LaJoy to ARCA. Good point there, Hobby Stone. Corey LaJoy to ARCA. He's already won races in ARCA. He needs to go to another series other than that. As a Logano fan, I think what AD did to him was fine, but collecting Hamlin as well was over the line. Says the wise. Let's see. Remember, Gordon's T-Rex car was legal until it wasn't. Yeah, that's true. That car was super illegal. They were just like, just don't bring it back. We don't want to see it again, or it's getting tossed. Do you have the odds up by chance? I sure don't. I don't have them up. Just they actually don't post those on my where I'm at. They don't post them until just before the race. I watched a good finish that took me back 20 plus years. Loved it. Usually Thursday, I should say. I mean, No fines or anything should ruin it. Logano showed his emotions for sure, but it's expected. Let's go, people, says Bumstead. Yeah, like I said, if you really press me for it, I think Joey Logano is going to get fined some money. I think RCR is going to get fined some money, and I think NASCAR is going to make a rule going forward that they don't want to see stuff like this. If I think that's the vast majority of what you're going to see, and RCR is going to get fined some money because of the spotter saying what the spotter said. Was Dylan's last win at Daytona, Rick and Eric Almirola. Dylan's last win was at Daytona, but it was when they had the rain shower and half the field wrecked. And Tyler Reddick, I think, pushed him to victory lane. The win before that was Texas, where he out restarted Tyler Reddick there. This is a season data point. Number 3 could have turned the poor performance corner, crossed fingers. Now it's rowdy time, says Racer Erector. Or Erectus 1. So yeah, that's as the RCR fans are saying, this is the turning point. This is where we turn the season around. We got them right where we want them. We're getting hot at the right time, and here comes Kyle Busch. He's going to be the next win. So there's definitely a lot of that sentiment for sure. BB, I look forward to the show each Tuesday night. You're the most common sense NASCAR moderator, says Bruce Carver. I appreciate it. I try my best to look at it from all the angles and try to make the most sense of it. And I don't always succeed, but I do try. I guess that's all I can say there. Was 2022 or 2023 when Larson and Dillon started wrecking each other at the end of the road course? It was really random. Yeah, that was super random. He's had moments like that with Brad Keselowski as well. Have you seen that video of BK being asked the track dates, and he says the winners? Oh yeah. It's old, but dude's got a memory like an elephant. Yeah. Brad Keselowski might have a photographic memory. There's no doubt about that, because I was like, dude, like, what is up? He can basically name you every single race car winner since he's been racing, and some before he started racing. Joey Logano, $100,000 fine. Austin keeps trophies, loses the playoff berth. Denny gets to keep his hurt feelings, would be my guess, says Ron Brown. So that's Ron's prediction there. The win you're in was only brought about because Dale Jr. and NASCAR needed Junior in the playoffs. As a Junior fan, I was good with it, but I'm a hypocrite. LOL, says Ryan. We all are when it comes to our favorite drivers. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And that's why I don't have a problem with the Logano and Hamlin fans being mad. It is what it is. I understand you guys being mad for sure. No wins for Creed, but the most consecutive second place finishes with 10, I believe. Ace, there you go. Sheldon Creed's a good driver. Like, I don't know why people are so down on him. Wow, 3 lose the playoff entry. LM out, says Wilford. Say what you want, but take out the 2 next gen cars in one corner. It does take some, does take some talent. The tires are mighty wide, so I will say that that's something else. He did have to come from super far back to get to the to the rear end of the 22 car. I'll say that also as well. So after RCR's win, why do you think Andy really left? I think they were trying to bring in Rodney Childers, and I think that deal fell through, and now they're trying to get somebody else. Would be my guess. That's just my guess, and it is what it is. Like, I have no inside information. I'm just totally throwing that out there because Kyle Busch in an interview said we tried to get one guy and he's already gone, and he was 100% referencing Rodney Childers. So that, to me, that's what happened, or maybe Andy Petrie. He had enough and he was ready to quit. You never know. You would have to ask Andy Petrie on that one. NASCAR is going to NASCAR tomorrow. Watch, says OJ and Toothpaste. Oh, there's no doubt in my mind about that. So it's going to be super interesting to see what they do. I didn't make an episode today because I was waiting for the announcement today. 100% right, says Say Kyle. Fact, says OJ. As a member of the fan council, I was asked what penalties, if any, I think should be appropriate, and to which drivers, says Jamie Schweitzer. Hey, there you go, Jamie Schweitzer. He's gonna get us right as a member of the fan council, so he's gonna make his voice heard there on that one. They like milking it for drama, i.e., the Larson waiver debate. I agree with you 100%, Ryan. Like, they already know what they're gonna do. In my mind, there is no doubt about that. They know what they're gonna do. They're just milking this an extra day to keep it in the news cycle. Good point there. I like what you said there. If he gets suspended, you may not have to give a waiver because without the right hook, he's not in the playoffs. What's he being suspended for would be the reason he makes the playoffs, says Dirty Duff. Hey, there you go. It's going to be super interesting no matter what they do. 300-mile race should be 300 miles. Get rid of overtime. Tell them A and B. I've been on that since since the longest. I forget which year it was when we had that god awful amount of restarts and they went to 3 restarts max, and now it's going back to infinite restarts. Ever since that, I'm just like this is BS. If you have a green white checkered, it should be one period and that's the end of it. But I think you should just get rid of it altogether and just the race ends when the race ends. I get mad at Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for wrecking, but that ends the race. And why is it always the guy racing for 30th? Why is it always the dude racing for 30th? Maybe make Joey start in the back of the pack next race, says Perry Earl. Driving like an idiot around non-racers, you should be heavily penalized. How mad would you be if they kicked Austin Dillon out of the playoffs but kept the win? I mean, I'm not going to be mad either way. I'm just going to react to it. I'm going to call them hypocrites if they do that because other people have wrecked to get into the playoffs. So the precedent is, the precedent is the precedent. People that have wrecked to get into the playoffs and have not been penalized. So I will call them out for not following precedent. But NASCAR is consistently inconsistent, so they're not going to care about that either. Do you think Reddick bumping AD was that an attaboy? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what their relationship is. He seems to still have a good relationship with some of the people at RCR. I don't know if Austin Dillon's one of them. I feel like they should be. They were pretty tight when they were there racing. It's hard to say if he was mad or if that was, hey, there you go. It's hard to say. But judging from his comments after the race, I don't think it was an attaboy. If they want to take the win away, I think RCR could appeal it and would probably get it overturned. That's a good point, Jamie Thornton. So maybe they take the win away and NASCAR looks good from that aspect, but NASCAR knows it's going to get overturned. That's 3D chess. That's good, Jamie Thornton. Good stuff there. NASCAR might be happy with that because it takes pressure off of them. Because how do you find Dillon? That's a good point. There's your 3D chess move. So maybe that's what we're looking at. And RCR is going to challenge that for sure. Drivers need to get suspended if they carry a tiny dog around before the race. What a bunch of fancy boys, says Bumstead. So Bumstead doesn't like the toy pets there. When's the last time NASCAR put someone on probation? Give AD a $50K fine and probation through the end of the season with the warning that another next gen bump and run gets him black flags, says Tim Brace. That's how they did it back in the day. If AD wins the championship, there will be meltdowns, and I'm praying for it. I just want this. I want for once, I want this exciting playoff system to be as exciting as it possibly can be, to see if people really like this playoff system or if it's just a bunch of window dressing. Maybe the 43 can take out 35 cars for the win this week, says Delmer Kaufman. We'll have to see. What's up, Baloney Burger Jr.? Junior. With Harrison Burton seemingly out on Sundays, who scheduled spins and wrecks will Jeff Burton flat out ignore next year? Probably that Stewart Haas Racing is shutting down. Like, that was pretty wild. And if you want to go far enough back, that Dodge was coming back to NASCAR and they actually did it. Like, that was those have to be up there. Stewart Haas Racing closing and Dodge coming back to NASCAR and actually doing it back in 2001 or so, whenever that was. Yep, Junior says one wise. Team manager BB can't wait for next season in November when the number 19 Toyota Camry XSE for Joe Gibbs Racing. Yep, we're gonna get them right in the offseason, buddy. Corey LaJoy to AM Racing. I hear they're looking for a driver these days. I could be. According to Door Bumper Clear, it's a money issue. He's got enough to go to certain teams, so that seems to be the deal. A effort for Junior, says one wise guy. Need to watch some races before 2003 just to see if racing back to the flag under yellow, see if there was less carnage, says Brickyard Brickhead. KFB starts 13 race win streak this weekend at Michigan, says like dislike. that would be something there. Just be forewarned, everyone. Lee Diffrey from NBC IndyCar side will be starting this week, so we can all call him Diffie Duck because Rick Allen is needed somewhere else. I like to see if they go back to the old OEMs. Says Kaminsky, Sean Kaminsky. Love it, Ron Brown. Keep his hurt feelings. Says Hobby Tone. Lawless Allen going to be in AM Racing this weekend. He will wreck it just like Deacon, says Mark Barnum. When did Reddick and Dylan fall out? I heard them post RCR, act like they were still cool, but Tyler has made it personal with a lot of his comments after the race. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Dirty Def. It's been super interesting. He's taken a couple of shots at Austin, and I don't know exactly what happened there. For sure. Is there any news on college drivers for next year? Nothing I've heard that's official. Don't let all this distract you from the fact that John Hunter Nemechek didn't bring out any cautions this week. Don't worry, he might have two. He's got to keep his pace up, so he might have two this weekend. What do you think about Trackhouse leasing out their drivers? They're doing what they got to do under the current system. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. Andy might not have liked the direction of RCR, says Duke Chronic. That's a good point too. That could have been it. NASCAR could fix this wreck, whoever, for a win issue. If they got rid of the composite body, that's part of it too, for sure. If the three nose caved in under the radiator when it hit the 22, the move would have never happened. That's what I'm saying. They built these indestructible cars, and then they expect the drivers not to drive through each other, especially with the tires that have so much grip that you almost have to kamikaze somebody just to move them. It is what it is. Austin Dillon said on the Dale Jr. download that Andy Petrie actually called him right after the win on Sunday, which I thought was cool. Andy's a class act, man. Hopefully he does what he wants to do in the future, because he's a good race car mind, and I hate to see him go, but sometimes you got to shake things up. So it's the way it goes sometimes. In the cave tonight, working on the slot car track. Well, I say that like I'm part of the team. I've just always been a Dale Earnhardt Senior fan, RCR fan, for sure. In the cave tonight, working on the slot car track. Loving this discussion. Thank all of y'all, says Beast 1624. Stenhouse and Priest were not on the same lap, says Duke Chronic. That's what I'm saying. They weren't even racing for anything. It's so crazy. It's easy to make the argument that Stenhouse did it on purpose. Can you talk about the option tires? Should they have run option tires only at short tracks? I think in the future that might be the direction they go, because that's what the drivers are asking for. But it's NASCAR, so you never know. What's important is RCR got to win. Yes, hard for me to be mad when I got a three tat. Great decisions made here by the boys, says Bumstead. Indeed. All of a sudden, Corey LaJoy doesn't look so bad. Just kidding. Corey sucks as much as Austin, says Jamie Schweitzer. For everyone that wants NASCAR to go back to before the green-white checker finish, you'll still end up with the same winner, says Ryan. I just think the caution laps should not count with 10 laps to go. No more green-white checkered. So, yeah, that's another way of doing it. That's basically the way they do it at local short tracks. Under caution in the last X amount of laps, the laps don't count. Or if there's not that many laps in the short track race itself, then none of the laps under caution count. I like multiple overtimes, the possibility of cars running out of fuel, last lap desperation, new winners, shaking things up with attrition. I'm all for it. Bring on 100 overtimes if needed, says Say Kyle. Yeah, that's the other argument. There's definitely people that want that. There's people that like the pure randomness of multiple overtimes. Watching Logano in car on pit road was alarming. That's the one that got me. Like, when you see him swerve into him, that's the one that got me. I was like, oh God. I was like, that was the one that got me too, Bo. For sure. A bandit, I should say. Boutique dogs equal immediate suspension, says Bumstead. Unless it's a Chihuahua. I like Chihuahuas, man. They're pretty cool. And Jack Russells. But Jack Russells are a little too big to be a boutique dog, I think. BD really wants the playoffs to turn into full Earth 2 mode. Look, at least for one season, I want maximum chaos in the playoffs. I want a dude that was like 36th or 22nd in points to get on a hot streak and win the whole thing. That's just what I want, because there is a possibility. Statistically, if you do this long enough, that will happen, right? So everything will happen if you on a long enough timeline. I just want to see it in my lifetime, so that we can see if all these people that defend this particular style of the playoffs really like this particular style of the playoffs, or they just like it because they know their driver wins a lot and is always going to be in there. That's a fair question to ask. I bet NASCAR makes another video game rule like Ross Chastain at Martinsville, limit to one intentional wreck per finish, says Ken. Yeah, that might be what they do. We used to see 5-lap penalties for rough driving, and you saw a lot less of it, says Bumblebee. Indeed. And somewhere out here in the truck series, Lane Riggs is screaming at the air and punching the air. Like, he's like, what? He's like, what did I do? He barely touched Stephen Parsons. And part of the reason Lane got that penalty is because Phil Parsons cried about it during the commentary. He wrecked my son. Yeah, it is what it is. Mark Martin's tweet was a facepalm emoji, and simply put, good grief. Says Jamie Schweitzer. Indeed, and I put that in the video at least twice. Every time I said I don't mind people driving aggressively, I put Mark Martin's tweet where he says "good grief" because I knew that's what he would be saying if he was sitting there. I can't be mad at Austin Dillon. He hadn't won, and he wasn't going to get screwed by some back marker cars that can't seem to finish races. Blame it on the green white checker. Exactly. Exactly. That's the other way of looking at it. Austin Dillon was about to get screwed out of a win. You can say Joey Logano got screwed out of a win. You can say Denny Hamlin got screwed out of a win. But don't forget, you can also say Austin Dillon was about to get screwed out of a win, and that's why he did what he did. Give me those Tyler Reddick Jordan Brand Camrys for Reddick diecast. I still like the Kurt Busch one better. The Kurt Busch one's been the best one so far. The cement Kurt Busch one, not happening, says Bumblebee. Turn 4 for the win is the only box. The 3 open for the 20 and 11. For sure. I don't think it matters if Dylan and Reddick are friends. Nobody wants to see someone get right hooked, says Bo Darvel. Yeah, I don't think that plays into it at all. I'm just saying it's interesting that they ended on good terms, but now for all of a sudden they seem to have rubbed each other the wrong way. We have all we are allowed for now, says Bumblebee. BB is my number one source for racing info. Keep it up. I got a bolt piece. Everybody, take it easy. Hobby Tone. Thanks for hanging. Can you believe Austin? Let's see. Mark Martin fan for life. Last lap in Phoenix should be entertaining, and he re-upped. So much appreciated, Mark Martin fan. It should be entertaining. I agree with that 100%. And that's what I'm saying. If you make a rule going forward, maybe you save Phoenix. But if not, Phoenix could get real. Let's see. Can you believe Austin Cindric and Austin Dillon are in the playoffs with 6 combined top 10s? It's pretty wild, but that's the system we have. Decided to pop in and say hello. What's up, Team FT? Hello, my fellow server members. So Team FT on the Discord server. So jump in there if you want to join the Discord. Good Lord, that's a stat. 0% of the people had 2 and the 3 in their playoff bracket in February. LOL, says Say Kyle. B, love to see a couple of more non-winners or lap leaders win in the next 3 weeks, says Mark Barnum. That would be cool. So how were the option tires? They were a success. I think everybody liked them. I want Josephus in the playoffs, says B. James Melee saying, my feeling on Austin Dillon incident should be no fine, or we do not want our drivers driving 100% of the time. Says James, yeah, it hasn't been a fine in the past or anything like that, so I don't see why it would be one now. It's interesting. Going to be interesting to see what they do here. Going to Richmond in person was quite the experience. What a race we had. At the end there, met Austin, got his autograph, took a photo with him, and ended up winning. That's cool. That's cool. He's really good with the fans, actually. From what I've seen, seems to be most drivers are though. So he's really good with the fans, though, I think. Miniature Doberman, says Mark Langren. The real question is why they take Logano's CDLs away from him, says Dirty Def. BB, are you going to like the brake hard and have driven sunglasses promos during live streams? No, the only way I'll take a sponsorship deal is if I know the owner of the company. So I have turned. I'm not gonna do that. I have turned some down though. I'm not gonna name the companies I've turned down though. How did KB finish 12th? He was a lap down and then surprised 12th. And look, Breakard might know the owner of Driven Sunglasses. I'm just, from my perspective, I want to have the right deal. That way I can say, hey, look, I'll promote your product, but I'm only going to promote your product at the end of the video. I'm not going to put it in the middle. I'm not going to put it at the beginning because before I started being a creator, I always hated that when I watched YouTube videos. So I want to have total control over that. So that's my take on any type of sponsorships. Feel free not to sponsor me. Super not sponsor friendly. Let's see. 2024 seems to be the year of NASCAR chaos, says one wise guy. Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. How did KB finish 12th? He was a lap down, then surprise 12th. Yeah, skipped earlier BB, but saying the 22 wouldn't have lost control is a stretch. The car was broken. JPM didn't hit the jet for lack of talent. He hit because the car was broke. 22 deal because it could have been real bad, says Say Kyle. Yeah, it's just something you don't do. I couldn't believe he did it. I understand being mad, but I was like, man, that's such a bad look, especially once you see the in car. Oh, goodness. Not good. Season points is the real champion. The playoffs don't work. There's a lot of people that make it's a meritocracy versus against opportunism. That is for sure. Overtime still, there's only one car left running for the win. Says Mark Barnum. Earth 2, Jeremy Mayfield is reinstated and takes over for Austin for the rest of the season. I'm with BB, given how silly all these seasons are. It's about time we take one away. Over the top, Dylan, who I can't stand for the championship. By the way, who supports this playoff system? Says E. Damon. There's a lot of people. You would be surprised. I agree. No fine in the system. Some people, this is all they've grown up with. That's how long we've had the system in place now. So it is what it is. I agree. No fine, and the system needs to be fixed. If Mark Martin was it was racing, would he have pulled a Dylan move? That's a good question. I don't know that Mark Martin ever changes his driving style, but he has said in the past that you have to drive like this now. I was actually surprised to hear him say that. Maybe I'm thinking about another clean driver, but I thought it was Mark Martin. I need to go. Let me go double check that before I say that, but we'll see. How many subs left to 12K? 100 and something. I don't know. 100 and some change. Maybe 100 and I would say under 150. I haven't looked at it recently, or maybe over 150. I don't know. We'll say 200. We'll say 200 to be safe. I really haven't looked at it in a while. Let's see. Austin Dillon is truly NASCAR's luckiest unlucky driver. He either finishes 30th or wins, and his wins get people talking. Yeah, yeah. I think with the exception of Texas, I think all of them have been spicy wins or not real. Some people like not real wins. Other than Texas, where he out restarted Tyler Reddick. But even I think even then, some people are like, well, if he didn't stay out there with strategy, he wouldn't have been there. You know, if some butts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a great Christmas though, right? This Dylan argument that he was leading the race prior to the caution means nothing. There was a restart. He lost the restart. Pretty much ends right there, says E. Damon. Yeah, it is what it is. What people are talking about is back in the day, races ended at the distance. That's what they're talking about. We're not talking about the restart. He did lose the lead on the restart. And he did what many other drivers have done in the past, and he wrecked the people in front of him to get the win. So it is what it is. Either way you look at it, he's going to be your winner. Joy was mad in the race last Sunday. BB with the perfect Parsons impressionation says Jamie Thornton. Love the best NASCAR podcast. Let's face it, as NASCAR fans, we love drama. Indeed, indeed. Like I said, I don't think we've talked about anything this much since Ross Chastain rode the wall. Austin Dillon said that Mark Martin texted him after the race saying spectacular, says Dirty Def. Oh yeah, we had option tires this week, says Say Kyle. Daniel Suarez going from 21st to first in 7 laps on the option tire was like the old EA Sports days, LOL, says Bumblebee. When it was all said and done, my grandson recorded the ending on his cell phone, watched it 50 times on the way home, saying, oh my God, there you go. So I don't think NASCAR is actually going to do anything to change the system. If they do anything to Austin Dillon, I think it'll be like a 3D chess move, like Jamie was talking about earlier, where they know it's going to get overturned, but maybe they try something and then they're like, "Oh shucks, we tried," knowing full well it would get overturned because of previous precedent. So it's just going to be interesting to see. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, I guess, when it happens. I hate the ball and strikes calls, but they're going to have to make some. Hocevar took out Heim in the Truck Series Championship. Fair. What happens if someone does that at Phoenix in the Cup race? Good point. Fair. I think you get a similar reaction to what happened in the Truck Series, where everybody was about done with NASCAR until the Phoenix race saved it. Was Hendrick the worst race? This reminded me. Was this Hendrick's worst race? This reminded me of how they ran the first Phoenix race. It's close there. It feels like they're off with this type of package, and that does not bode well for Phoenix. I do agree with you there. OJ Martin would never. Mark Martin would never, says Mark. Later, BBC on Sunday, says William. Hi, BB. Sorry I joined late. I was busy. Austin Dillon needs playoff berth taken away and to be suspended, says Chrome Diesel. I don't think you can do that because there's so much precedent where they haven't done that. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm just saying if you're going off previous precedent, it's going to be hard to do any of that. BB, out of my main 2 drivers, Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr., who gets a first win? If you're going off trending, I'm gonna shock the world. Statistically, Martin Truex Jr. would be your pick. But if you go off of how RCR trended off this one race where Austin Dillon looked really fast, I'm gonna say Kyle Busch. Curious if there's any spotter audio from the 22 on pit road. Wild, you could hear. Yeah, somebody posted the full. It's on YouTube. I think Front Stretch. Go check out Front Stretch. Say Kyle. I think they've got the full audio. I saw somebody post it though. It might not be Front Stretch, but somebody has the audio of the 22 full audio. It's oh man, what's that dude's name? I'll send it to you. I know where it's at. I got to go find that guy. I can't think of his name. He's got a real monotone voice, and I think he's actually a NASCAR reporter, but he's got a YouTube channel too. Um, I can't think of his name. I'll figure it out. Let's see. Mark would not beat on a restart. NASCAR should be fine for creating this situation. There you go, Jamie Schweitzer. That's right. Let's keep the pressure on NASCAR. Hot take, Chrome Diesel, LOL, says OJ. It's chaos. Like this makes you miss Robbie Gordon. Indeed, Robbie Gordon did this without the playoffs. Imagine Robbie Gordon with the playoffs. Maybe you're going to be on NWP anytime soon. I don't know. I don't know. That's up to them. That's their deal. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to program their show for them at all. But if they want to have me on, I'm certainly open to it. Joey broke Denny's back at California. That was a shit move for the win. Says like dislike. It's Spinhouse. Says Danny Moore. Do you think Dylan would have been better off taking the outside on the last restart? Probably not, because I think Joey might have moved him. Like I'm not a big fan of taking the outside on a restart. Period. Nothing to do with Joey Logano. Because people are going, you're saying Joey's a dirty driver. Anybody, let's say Denny Hamlin lined up. Oh, that's a bad. Let's say Jesus Christ lined up on the inside of him too. Whoever's lined up on the inside, whether they do it on purpose or whether they just drive it in there too deep, has a chance to wash up and take you out. So I'm not a fan of taking the outside on a restart, regardless. But that's just me. I know a lot of people do it now. A win is a win. People fuss when someone runs off with it, and they fuss when someone does whatever it takes to win, says Jeremy Hale. Bingo. Good point there. Single file restarts, timed events, says Baron Von Weebs. Or just go the scheduled distance, regardless of what that is, and just don't count in the last 10 laps. The cautions don't count toward the scheduled distance. In any of those ways would be a good way of going about it. What happened next Sunday in Michigan? Number 3 and number 22 and 11 will be crashing together. If you were NASCAR, what would the call be? I would fix the point system. That would be the call I make, but I wouldn't penalize Austin Dillon. Because we haven't penalized anybody for it in the past. Riddick said he had to explain to his 4-year-old son how that was wrong and not okay to win a race. Come on, says Dirty Duff. Yeah, I don't think his 4-year-old son is going to care or remember that. So that's him looking out for his boss, trying to get his boss a win, or trying to get himself a win because he thinks he finished second. He's still angling to get a second place finish himself. They should have soft tires on the road course. That would be great. What racing show? Says one wise guy, beating and banging. That's it, Rosie. Beating and banging. That's who I was trying to think of. I couldn't think of that name to save my soul. So yeah, beating and banging. I think he's got the full audio of the 22 in car. I read it on his title. I haven't watched the video yet. A lot of trolls in this chat tonight, says OJ. Let's say William Byron, the driver who can do no wrong, lines up, says say Kyle. The 99 was impressive on the red tires. He added a good layer of interest to this being off strategy. You ever notice that during the truck races, Parson and Waltrip's always put words in drivers' mouth like they're talking to children? Ekus is saying that was too close. Crap like that all race. Yeah, they do. They do like to interpret what they're thinking the driver is saying without actually the driver saying it. Is that a redneck Jesus we were talking about? Says one wise guy. Any Jesus you want Jesus to be. I'm not getting into that debate. Timed overtime might be good. Says Duke Chronic, getting rid of the stage breaks, which turned the race. It's 3 races in one. Would have the side benefit of not allowing the situation like we saw this weekend. You just can't reshuffle cars 3 times. Agreed. BB, would you consider Logano a more experienced driver than Austin Dillon? He's definitely been driving longer. He's probably got more races under his belt. If this had happened a couple of years ago, we'd all be blaming Ross Chastain for this, for sure. Ross Chastain syndrome was a derangement syndrome was a thing. LOL, honestly, as someone who likes Hamlin, BB, even if it was a right rear hook by Dillon, it clearly wasn't intentional. I'm with you on that. I think they were sort of going for the same spot. Hamlin, I think, thought he was clear and he was going to block Dillon. I think that was more of what happened. I don't think it was intentional. But I don't think Dillon was going to lift either. He obviously didn't lift. Dillon turned left and Hamlin turned right, race and move. That's how I saw it too. But a lot of people didn't see it that way because he did basically take out the 22 right before that. So that shades how people view that. But yeah, I saw it as a racing move myself. Dillon is usually a clean racer, says Duke Chronic. There's he doesn't have a history. There's a lot of people that would argue against that. So I'm going to stay out of that one. Reddick was on Sirius dumping on the 3 yesterday, like he had a contract incentive for it. Says Say Kyle. Well, he knows who his boss is, and I think that probably reflects what his boss probably thinks behind the scenes. Dirty Def, another kettle calling the pot black, says Mark Langren. Let's not forget to mention that Fox almost made a decent truck race unwatchable. Fox NASCAR truck booth is complete garbage. Yeah, part of it is not their fault though, because they're not even at the racetrack. So that's on Fox. NASCAR truck booth is garbage. NASCAR Insider shows 11 loose at the time of contact, says Barron. There you go. Daytona 500, big crashing together. Maybe if you had a booth, choice of booth, who would you put in the truck series for the booth? Probably Ron Hornaday and I don't know, whoever you want to put in there as your main guy. And then and then Kyle Busch when he retires. Ron Hornaday and Kyle Busch in the same booth, and then whoever you want to put between them. I think that would be the booth. Because it would be like Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer, except it would be real. It would be two guys that really had an issue, at least at one point. And I think Ron Hornaday still has that issue. I don't think Kyle really thinks about it anymore. I don't think he's proud of it, but I don't think he thinks about it anymore. Let's not forget to mention that Fox almost made a decent truck race unwatchable. Fox NASCAR trucks booth is complete garbage. I'm way too far. BB, I'll just read that one. It's late. Great chat. Good night, says Wilfred. Good night, Wilfred. Have a good one. OJ Fox can only afford to send one person to the track. I like they tried to get Ross involved in his post-race interview, and he was having no part of it, says Dirty Def. Yeah, he was like, congratulations to Austin, and thank God that they're not talking about me doing it. Could you imagine the strategy if we didn't have stage breaks, says Timber Race? Oh, man. It would be so much better, in my opinion, but a lot of people don't want it that way. Would I worry the whole reckless driving can be amplified more and more after what kids saw at Richmond on Sunday? Yeah, I mean, but that's the system NASCAR's created. That's what I'm saying. NASCAR needs to fix the system, not penalize Austin Dillon. Don't be hating on Jamie Little. Bubba is coming to life lately. Ross and Gibbs better get it together, says Bo Darville. Dang. Yeah, Bubba's definitely on a hot streak. I'm catching BB live stream for the first time in a minute. What's up? What's up, Elite? Austin Dillon is supposed to be at Walmart in Florida for a meet and greet August 23rd. So that should be interesting. Laughing my butt off. By the way, what's up, everyone? What's up, Elite? Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Just think if Fox covered the race. Just think if Fox covered this race, we would have been in commercial break. We would have never known what exactly was happening on the track. Laughing my butt off, Mark. Bubba is posting on YouTube again 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, so he's got his YouTube channel cooking a little bit. Tyler Reddick has one too. So everybody over there at 2311 has one. Hello, everybody, says T-Van. Jamie Little is a great pit reporter, but man, she's just not good in the booth. Yeah, she'll get better though. She's just got to get some more reps. What's up, Elite? Good time yesterday. Bud, says One Wise Guy. Yeah, so Elite's doing some live streams now, so look out for him when he's doing live streams. Check him out. Always does a good job over there, not only with live streams, but check out his video as well. He's got one on the SMT data that I think everybody should watch because it's a really good video. I think Jamie Little is getting better, but she's going to get bad habits from the other two that talk about Daniel Dye like he's their son, says Bo Darville. Hey, there you go. There you go. Thanks for another award-winning live, says Jamie Schweitzer. Dislike said Ron had it. Ron had it coming. Elite saying what's up to everybody in the chat. Let's see. Nobody's talking about Gibbs slipping, and surely Martin Truex Jr. won't blow it with 3 races to go, says Dirty Def. Yeah, Ty Gibbs, he's fallen like a rock the last few races. He had a nice almost 100-point lead over those other guys. Now he's down there within 10 or so, 12, 15 points there. Am I the only one that still hasn't gotten used to the numbers being pushed to the front? I don't like them either, E. Damon. I don't know who comes up with this, but it's disturbing to watch. Nor can I pick out the cars all that well. Gibbs has lost a lot of his points recently, says OJ. Yeah, for sure. SMT data was a good one. It was really good video. I hate the number being pushed up, says Bo Darville. Daniel Dye's dad is running for office locally for me, and I'm not voting for him because of how much they fluff up Daniel on the Truck Series races. Says say Kyle. Well, that's just nuts, say Kyle. That's completely nuts. I can't believe you're not voting for his dad because of that. That's a joke. That's a nuts joke. Ryan Jeblick, Austin, and Denny's. I just missed it. Peace out, BB. Can't wait till Michigan, says Dirty Death. Let's see. Later, y'all. JGR better get their engines together because they've been throwing a lot of them. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully they figure out whatever that deal is for sure. One winner, and Martin Trix Jr. has 2 DNFs and misses the playoffs. If Joey doesn't win the championship, I hope Bubba wins it, says Jamie Schweitzer. He's been hot recently. If you remember that year that Joey, I think Joey Logano won his first one. He got hot at the right time, so it'll be a driver that gets hot. I mean, Ryan Blaney last year. The trend kind of recently has been drivers getting hot at the right time. I would say ever since Kyle Larson like outright won everything, he would have won it under any basically system. I think since then it's sort of been the guys that got got hot at the right time. Mitchie showing favoritism toward laughing my butt off, says say Kyle. Harrison Burton will win the championship this year, maybe on Earth too. Every time I think I'm done with NASCAR lights, the big baloney pulls me right back in. Michael Corleone, for sure. E. Damon, I appreciate you there. Godfather is a great movie if you've never seen it. Watch the whole series, but definitely the first one. I think the first one's the best one, but that's just me. Austin and Denny's basketball teams play on Thursday. Should be the most entertaining rec league basketball game ever. I wonder if Denny walks out there like, oh, my shoulder, just to mess with Austin, and then goes out there and drops like a triple double on him, like Ice Cube on his good day in 1992. Let's see. The Craftsman Daniel, the Craftsman Daniel Dye Truck Series, says Bo Darville. OJ with the Earth 2 prediction, solid, says say Kyle. Bubba misses the playoffs, says Mark Barnum. That playoff cut line is tight. I think it's like 3 or 4 points between those guys, and I think Ty Gibbs only has like 10 or 12, 13, 14 points above him. Funniest part was the guy giving Austin the rib slap. You saw it hurt him. Dale Jr. Download. He said, "I think I got a broken rib from the crew." That when that adrenaline gets going, man, Austin Dillon's a little guy too. Like, and those pit guys are big dudes. So that's 2 different weight classes, taking one to the ribs there. Good night, says Delmer. Good night, Delmer. Hope you have a good one, dude. It will be a cool race in Daytona, and then night. Yeah. Daytona is going to be a big event this year. Prison Rules Basketball, says Duke Chronic. Waltrip hits play on his CD player. Today was a die day, says say Kyle. BB, will you BB, I will make you an offer you can't refuse by having your logo on the number 19 Toyota Camry XSE for November, possibly one off as well. I appreciate you there in between the lanes. We'll get it done. Maybe mock something up there. I was supposed to mock something else up. What was it? An Earth 2 t-shirt, I think I'm supposed to mock up, and I got to make a Bologna Burger parking sign. So I'll get to work on that. But it looks like we've reached the end of it. So no fine.